the reason why we're here, Miss Monica Rogers had reached out to us with concerns about a headstone that she ordered from you that had a chip, and she said you were promising to replace that.
Right.
Do you still plan on replacing that headstone?
Yes.
So tell us the timeline in which that would happen.
Well, she purchased a black edge headstone, and black edge, they usually take about 6 months to produce because they have to be imported. We don't produce those types of stones in the United States.
And when was that first delivered, that headstone?
She purchased the headstone in January, and she received her proof in February. So it took 6 months to get the initial headstone, and it's going to take 6 months to get a replacement.
Have you placed that order for the new one yet?
Yes, I have.
When did you place that order?
After I spoke with her.
After you spoke with her. When was that?
I want to say it was in August.
Have you had correspondence with her since then? She's told us that, she hasn't heard back from you. She's been hung up on. She's had family members reach out to you, and they haven't been able to get a hold of you.
No, I haven't spoken to any of her family. Well, except for her daughter. Her daughter called, and I told her it would take 6 months as well. I don't know any other question that she needed from me.
Did she get any sort of confirmation? Have you sent her confirmation that a new headstone was ordered?
No, I just told her.
Okay.
I just told her.
And when?
The reason why I told her is because we already have all the information that we need in order to produce it. There was no need for me to, to give her anything, to say that we're going to produce it. I just told her, I already have all the information that I need in order to produce it.
Have you answered her phone calls since then?
No, she hadn't called me. I mean, what else did she need?
She had reached out to us because she didn't hear from you, so she didn't think it was going to happen.
I spoke to her on 2 separate occasions after the headstone was received.
So, based on that 6-month timeline you're saying it takes to make the headstone and have it come here, when would it be arriving?
We should be looking at, I want to say February. Yes.
This February is when she should get the new headstone?
Yes.
Okay. And that would be of no additional charge to her?
No.
One thing that's kind of confusing in this whole situation is the location. She's saying that the headstone that she ordered was moved and it's not in the right location right now, and you're saying that it's in the right location.
Yes.
How does that get lost in translation?
Well, because when people come to a funeral, they're not 100% sure of exactly where the location is. And that's the reason why cemeteries are platted, okay? Every single grave is associated with a number. We don't just say, okay, we're placing one family member by another family member or describe what's in association. Everything has a numerical value. And because her son was interred in 2016, and it was documented in 2 separate locations. It was documented on the burial logs, as well as, their paperwork. So I have to put that headstone exactly where that paperwork says that I should put that headstone, because I didn't own the cemetery at that time.
So you don't really know because you weren't here?
There's no way for me to tell if I wasn't here.
Right.
There's no way. But that's the reason why cemeteries are platted the way that they are, is because I could die today, and whoever has to take over this cemetery will have to go based on that same structure.
So there's a chance the previous owner could have put it in the wrong spot?
There's a chance that the previous owner could have put every grave in this cemetery in the wrong spot, but that's unlikely.
So she has a angel statue and the name tag of her son set up on the place where she says he was buried. She said she
Absolutely.
put that there because she wanted to remember, once she could save up for the headstone, that it would be put there.
Mm-hmm.
If she's certain that that's the spot, would you move it to the spot that she wants it?
No, I would investigate further. I would probe the ground to make sure that, there's somebody actually there. Because if I send a probe through the ground and there's nobody there, then that means that can't be her spot. And that other spot may be owned by somebody else. So I can't operate like that.
Is that something you would be willing to do for her?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
You wouldn't be willing to investigate to see if that's the right spot?
Yes, definitely. Yes. I misunderstood what you said.
Okay, I wasn't sure if she had communicated the location issue to you before, but you would be willing to check that out for her.
Of course. It's not a problem.
There also, she and, she had some friends that we spoke with, had some concerns about the maintenance of the grounds, overgrown grass, the way certain graves look. Is that something that you plan on working on? Are there any plans in the future?
Definitely. We just last month we sent pictures because we did have a complaint to the Attorney General. There was I want to say I sent about 40 pictures of the entire cemetery, and to show that the cemetery is well maintained. So. Don't get me wrong, we do have some work to do. We have things that we have to take care of to ensure, to make this cemetery what we want it to be. We want it to be beautiful. We don't want a cemetery that's unkept, and we don't want families coming here and not being able to grieve in an unkept place. So we do our best to maintain the grounds.
There are several complaints, Google, Better Business Bureau, all about similar issues. So clearly it is a problem. If you go out there, you can see it's overgrown.
Definitely.
Any immediate plans to respond to those complaints? There's one stretching beds that's been going on for years.
Well, I'm not sure of exactly what you're referring to. I'm not sure of exactly the complaint that you're referring to.
Yeah, no, most of them are all kind of the same, just talking about the maintenance of the grounds. Right. A lot of people that have loved ones buried here.
One of the things that I would like to address as far as maintenance is that the maintenance of any business is in direct correlation with the revenue that business brings in. One of the things about purchasing a cemetery is that there are so many pre-need graves in those cemeteries. So let's say someone comes in and they have purchased a grave opening and closing from someone from, let's say, 20 years ago. Well, the position that the cemetery is in is that we have to facilitate that. So there's nowhere to reach to grab, any revenue. So there's times where we actually have to find funds from other places just to satisfy burials today when we're not receiving any revenue for it.
So is the business struggling financially?
I wouldn't say that it's struggling financially. I feel as though it is not making the amount of money that it needs to make in order to, I would say, provide what I believe the customers are looking for as far as the overall look, because it does cost to, landscaping companies, and it does cost to, maintain the cemetery.
I'm not an expert on pricing of all this stuff. Thankfully, haven't had to deal with that. But would you say your prices reflect in that? Would it be cheaper to bury someone here versus a cemetery that's more well maintained?
Definitely. It's the difference between, buying a steak burger at McDonald's versus Fleming. It's going to be more expensive at a more expensive restaurant. It's designed for that because it caters to a different clientele and a different demographic.
So how do you fix the problem if you don't have enough money coming in to maintain it?
It's the long term. The reason why you would purchase a cemetery, for example, this cemetery has about 3 acres of of burial grounds that are being used right now. But the total space is 68 acres. Okay, so it's a long term. It's a long term vision. My vision is not a short term vision. So, and with there being other cemeteries in this area that are at capacity, I realize that for the long term, even though we may lose money today, in the future is where this cemetery is going to be valuable. Not now. Now it's barely making it. Mm-hmm.
Going back to Ms. Rogers' complaints, do you plan on reaching out to her or anything to let her know? Because clearly there is, some miscommunications here.
I don't think there's any miscommunication. I think I spoke to her directly, and I told her it would take 6 months. And I produced the first headstone, so I don't see how she could have any miscommunication on why I wouldn't replace the headstone. I don't understand that.
Anything else you want to add?
No, ma'am. Not as it pertains to that situation.
That's the question. When did you guys take over?
2017.
Okay, so it's been a couple of years.
A couple of years, right. And just to just state certain things, there are times that, there's not even enough revenue coming in to facilitate the mortgage, more or less the grounds. So there are times where we have to pull from other sources, I have to pull from other businesses just to keep this cemetery open. The cemetery has changed hands 4 times. It's a reason why. And I think it's mostly because this community there's not enough purchases from this community. And that's just the way it is.
Have you applied for grants or looked for any sort of help from, government agencies?
No, I haven't. I haven't. I feel like, it's going to get better in time, and it usually does.
If you're saying people aren't coming here, though, how is that going to happen?
People are coming. People are coming. It's just with a cemetery starts small. Again, we're talking about 3 acres. At some point, you have families that connect with families that connect with families. So cemeteries grow in time. It's not, Elmwood didn't look like Elmwood when Elmwood was first started business. It's something that took time, and that's what we rely on.